All right, then we promised you we'll get you a lot of new excitement on Inside Sport, and we've of course also started a series of podcasts with a couple of my colleagues. And now on Inside Sport, we have our first big real superstar, the dashing, the dapper Pragyan Ojha. I was just telling him before the show, you got to be prepared when you're talking to Pragyan Ojha because he's sharp-witted. He is an extremely sharp cricket analyst. We obviously know about his cricketing folklore. He's been part of the Indian team. He's been an IPL superstar. He's been a member of the IPL governing council, and now an extremely well admired commentator of the sport is Pragyan Ojha. Pragyan, thank you so much for joining us on Inside Sport. And of course, we go back a long way. We're coming together to do something after years and years. How have you been?
Thank you. I have been good, but I am really awe with the way you have introduced me. Thank you so much. But I still remember the way we used to chat about cricket a couple of years ago. It was fun, interesting, and the best part was it was like a gentleman's cricket.
Absolutely, gentleman's game, and that is why I like talking to Pragyan about cricket. He's an absolute gentleman on and off the pitch. He likes to talk about cricket, no nonsense. And this is what we do in Inside Sport. Absolutely no nonsense. We bring up the voice of the fans, and who better than Pragyan Ojha to address so many absolutely wonderful cricketing moments. But Pragyan, to straight shoot off, a straight shoot off. Bangladesh have crushed Pakistan. Pakistan's cricket is in doldrums. You saw what happened in the World Cup. You saw what happened in the test matches there. Advantage in the first test match, Pakistan. Advantage in the second test match. They had Bangladesh leading at 26 for 6. Another fantastic knock from Liton Das. Mushfiqur Rahim in the first test, obviously, with that 191. Couple of the young bowlers standing up, Hassan Mahmood and Nahid Rana. First award on Bangladesh's emphatic win, and then Pakistan doldrums.
Absolutely. I think when you talk about being professional, one team was absolutely ready, prepared. Because if you talk about both the countries, then in past couple of years they were not looking settled when you talk about overall as a country. But Bangladesh took it really well. They kept other things out of cricket, and they were focused on things that were in their hands. They wanted to do well as a team. They were touring Pakistan, but when you look at Pakistan, there are a lot of things coming out. The way things are there in Pakistan, the way cricket experts, or maybe the people who are running Pakistan cricket, the way they're handling things, I feel it looks little unsettled. So, Dada, what I feel is, I think it is up to the players. If you see, a lot of time there are these challenging situations where, as a player or as an individual, you need to address as a professional, and that's where I think Pakistan team could not step up, I would say.
Maybe another word in this series because you saw for Bangladesh the old pro setters stood up with the bat. Mushfiqur, Liton, then the new bowlers emerged in the second match. Babar Azam's form. I mean, I know he's been trolled on social media, and that is the bane of our times, perhaps cricketers and athletes being trolled on social media. Unfortunate, but you also understand Pakistani fans have reasons to be really upset with the approach from Babar and a few of the superstars.
Absolutely. When you're playing for the country, the utmost responsibility for you is, winning the games for your team. And once you start winning, sometimes those things really help you come back into the form. I think that's where maybe the whole team should sit down and think about it. Because if you talk about the names, these were the players who were doing really well few years ago. It's not that our new setup has come in, the team is trying to settle down, or there is a transition phase. It's not that. It's the same bunch of players. They were trying to play, and they are the ones who once beat Indian team, if you remember the T20,
Yes.
without losing any wicket, Rizwan and Babar. So I think if you talk about the potential, they have it, but I think it's all in the mind. I think once you're not settled, once you're thinking too many things ahead of your game, you're thinking about things which are not in your control, maybe those are the things which will affect you. And I think that is why if you see Pakistan team, it is irrespective of having a great side with some talented bowlers and batters, they look like amateurs.
Amateurs. I mean, you have to reflect on that as well. If you're a Pakistani cricketer, what's going wrong? But Pragyan, then in a fortnight's time from now, Bangladesh have a much tougher challenge. They're coming to India, of course, later this month. They start the campaign against India. What does this mean for India? This confidence boost for Bangladesh and everything that is going on in Bangladesh. This confidence boost, and you're coming to the best Test cricket team in the world, and you're lining up against the Rohits and the Kohlis of world cricket. There is going to be a massive challenge, but Bangladesh would be up for it, right?
Absolutely. I think nowadays, if you see a lot of these teams, they plan their tours really well. If you see, I clearly remember when New Zealand was supposed to play the finals. Just before the finals, they were in England playing England. That I'm talking about the champions. This what do you call it? World Champions Trophy, WTC, World Test Championship. Beg your pardon. So they planned it really well. So Bangladesh and few other teams are planning really well when they're playing against teams like India, teams like Australia. Because now what has happened is Bangladesh is not a newcomer. It's a team which has established. It has players who can win you games. So now you have to look to become, come into those top 5, top 4 ranking. To do that, you have to plan your calendar really well. So I think playing Pakistan in Pakistan and then coming to India, and that to beating Pakistan would give them a lot of confidence. At the same time, I think India is also planning really well, having their young players play domestic season. I think these are the things which are really good for world cricket. If you look at Australia, they said that just before the Test series, most of their players will play the domestic cricket in Australia. I'm talking about the Australians. So if you plan that way, you see good competitive cricket. Unfortunately, in Sri Lanka, when India was playing, because none of our players were actually ready for the tour, because they just finished the World Cup, they just came in, and if you see, they were looking little rusty. So I think when those things happen, the quality of cricket goes down a bit. So I think all these guys who we are talking about are professionals, have played a lot of cricket, have contributed, uh, you know, in a huge way for their respective countries. So I think now when you talk about Test cricket and when you talk about red ball cricket, you have to be ready. You cannot take 1 or 2 games to be ready, because that's how Test cricket is. For Test cricket, you have to be ready, prepare yourself really well.
Talk of preparation, and when you talk about being ready, two gentlemen from the Indian team will be ready and their fingers will be itching, R. Ashwin and R. Jadeja. And against a potent Bangladesh team as well, we were talking Mehdi Hassan Miraz and Shakib Al Hasan, top spinners. There will be battle of spin.
Mehdi Hassan was man of the tournament, I guess. Yes,
Yes.
he picked up 10 wickets. And Sakibul, he's played a lot of cricket. He's got vast experience. I think it'll be very good series, I would say. Because when you talk about Bangladesh, they are unpredictable. They can just come up and play some really good cricket, or at times they can just, shut themselves up. So we want to see the Bangladesh, which really played well in Pakistan, come and play against India, because that's what you want as a cricketer, as a cricket fan. It's some good competition. And to that, I think Rohit and Virat. I was recently seeing Rohit was trying to train hard because he knows that if he has to do really well and if he has to prolong his career, fitness is the topmost thing. And in this, this time where that 48 days gap where there is no Indian cricket, after a long time, he's trying to utilize it and train himself up and get ready.
Also, training, obviously, you train specifically for every series, for every matchup that you face. How do you read the Indian batting lineup? And I'm specifically worried as an analyst of the game for the last several years. looking at Virat Kohli, and when you see worry and Virat Kohli in the same sentence, and you take a step back, what are you talking about? Virat Kohli, one of the greatest ever to have played the game. But look at his record in Test cricket, especially the last 4 years. He's done so much for the game as a whole, and not just for Indian cricket. Looking at his numbers, he got that big daddy 100 against Australia, albeit on a flat pitch. Concerns for Kohli against spin, especially left arm spin. You are one of the leading left arm spinners this country has produced, and you're coming with Shakib Al Hassan is another potent challenge.
I think when you talk about players like Virat Kohli or players who have played a lot of cricket, I'm talking about more than decade of international cricket. There will be a situation where there will be different challenges that needs some upgradation. That will always be there, and all this, the best part about all this uh, cricketers who have done so well, who are absolute legends of the game, they always evolve. So I'm expecting him to evolve, because if you see, just before the World Cup, Virat had a great run during the IPL, and Rohit had a very quiet IPL. But when they went to the World Cup, Rohit started getting runs, Virat was a bit quiet. But when you look at mm, the finals, Virat Kohli just came in and got those important runs for Indian team. So when you talk about Virat, Rohit, or senior players like someone like Sakib, you want them in the team because they will always address those important and crucial situations where the entire series or the entire game will depend on. So these are the moments you want these senior players to play. And when you talk about Virat against spin, yes, there will be challenges. We have seen other greats have their challenges but overcome it. I am very sure Virat will always do that. It is just matter of time, because Virat has set the benchmark so high. Even a 50 or 60 looks like a failure for him. So that is how he has contributed to Indian cricket. And when you talk about him, I would say it's just a phase. And the way he trains, the way he has that work ethics, it's just matter of time.
And you also looking at Rohit Sharma. And you talking of evolution for these greats, right? Rohit Sharma has also evolved. He just goes out and it's in beast mode. Probably the last phase of his career. You look at that age and that contribution as well. We hope he can play on forever. But he's also evolved, right? And whether it's one days, whether it's Test cricket, he just what is he holding in his hand, Pragyan? Is that a bat or what?
I think it's a responsibility.
Yeah.
That's what I see. He's very passionate about the team. If you look the way he's handled the team, it is more like he's handling his own family. He takes care of everybody. Recently, when the India-England Test series was going on, if you remember, Ashwin was having a very a situation where he had to head back home. Rohit Sharma made sure that people are around Ashwin. He was taken care of. These things really matter. And as a leader, when you take care of things which actually are not seen on the field, then the team comes together, or they start believing you. And once the team starts believing in the leader, that's when wonders happen. If you see, the entire 50 over World Cup, we were unbeaten. We lost in the finals. That is a great record. But in India, we look at it otherwise. When you look at the T20 World Cup, we were unbeaten. We won the cup. Only difference was in the finals we won, and in the 50 over finals we lost. So it doesn't happen overnight. It's all about taking care of other things. When you talk about skill, when you talk about talent, when you talk about hard work, it's always there, irrespective of Rohit Sharma being there, irrespective of Virat being there, MS Dhoni being there, because you're playing for your country. That will always be there. But why these things happen when you win World Cup or when you become Test champions? That is because the captain, the coach, the support staff, or the entire team, they come together, they understand each other better. So that's how, if you see winning teams, they have a different bonding, they have a different understanding between them. So I feel that is more important, especially in this social media world where you get distracted very quickly.
Absolutely. That was a nice, vivid description of what exactly is going on around cricketing superstars. But Pragya, also before we move on to more, the IPL and other vexing issues in world cricket, pitches. What sort of pitches do you reckon? Because you spoke of the high quality of spin talent, and do you think Rishabh Pant could be an X factor? Because he is what Mad Max level two, right? When he comes to that, and he just makes things look so easy. You know, it's not easy.
I think what Rishabh Pant has done, it is not ordinary. Winning you test matches, getting those runs, it's not easy. Going there and handling the pressure, and at that age, he's just 23 to 24. So we can see that he's got that potential, but what has happened around him in past 1.5 years has made him more stronger. We could see that during the IPL, during the World Cup, and it's just matter of time when he comes out and performs again. But saying that, when you talk about the pitches, I would say India, with the team that they have, they should look to play at least 4.5 day test match. That is the pitch should be. I'm not talking about the quality of the opponents. I'm talking about that kind of pitch we should play on and win test matches, because our challenges are different. We are not looking at Bangladesh, or we are not looking at New Zealand because they're playing in India. We can beat them anytime. But our challenge is winning again and again in Australia, creating history in South Africa, winning in New Zealand again. So these are the challenges which I think we should look upon, because we have upgraded ourselves.
And this is something that we're all looking forward to resuming for India to resume their test season. But since you also spoke about domestic cricket, would you have liked to see, say, Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma play in the Duleep Trophy and just get some domestic cricket under their belt before prepping for that Bangladesh? Because also remember, there's Australia later this year. That is going to be a massive challenge, like you said earlier in our conversation. It is going to be huge. Should Kohli have played in the Duleep Trophy?
Absolutely. If you ask me, anybody who's going to play red ball cricket should play a little bit of domestic cricket, because it really prepares you well. It is not about going and getting a 50 or 100 or a double hundred. It's more about getting those match fitness, because match fitness is totally different from what normal day to day fitness you do. And for that, you only have to play, like standing in the field for a day, or playing the whole day, or maybe just then you have an off day in the dressing room. So these things prepare you well for the game. I think that is every time a senior player plays, he's also at the same level as a new player, because that match fitness is always that requires upgradation, that requires validation. So I think for that, I would say Rohit and Virat could have played. But saying that, maybe because they have Bangladesh, they have New Zealand, and they have Australia, they know that these are the test matches they are going to play. They're certain. So maybe they've just taken a break or something.
And hopefully they'll be in their elements when the test season resumes. But Pragyan, we'll also quickly jump to the IPL auction. There's another one coming up late in the year. We don't know the dates yet. We don't know some of the, we're also waiting for clarity on retentions and the RTMs. What is your take on mega auction? Should there be mega auctions? Are they more unfair on the bigger teams, the more settled teams in terms of the championships that they won? And how do you look at retentions? Because I'll just take another few seconds to address what I'm saying. When they go on to retentions, and suppose you want to buy back a particular player, another franchisee strategically might increase the bid even if they don't want them, and then that particular team will have to use the right to match card, so they end up spending a lot more on their purse. How do you see this whole rigmarole?
I feel the retention is very important, because it is not only about the core team, it is about a lot of strategies. When you talk about the sponsorship, when you talk about projecting your team to the fans, these things really matter, because you need to have a core team, and for that core team, that retention and right to match, these two things are very important. And when you talk about mega auction, yes, it can happen, but every team needs to have a core team, because whenever you see every team, they make a strategy around their core team. So I think to give that little bit of cushion to the mm, uh, teams in the IPL, the most important thing I would say is how many players they get to retain, and how many players they can use the right to match will be very important, because these factors really are important when you look from a team's point of view.
This is a crucial phase for that build up also, isn't it, to the IPL auction? But there's plenty of speculation this time around as well, right? Like it is the case every year. So I was reading, I know this is not a very journalistic way of looking at it, but there are fans on social media who ask questions. What if Rohit Sharma is released? Will he play for another team? Which team do you say he's playing for? Will they ever let him go? I know he's not captain
See,
anymore, but
see,
yeah.
as far as I know, he's very integral part of Mumbai Indians. I don't know if that'll be that easy for them to let Rohit go, and the other way around also. It will be very emotional for Rohit. But when you talk about IPL, when you talk about this format, and when you talk about auction, so I think we're looking from a professional point of view, as a professional. So sometimes you get to decide, sometimes it's on the table. So it's very difficult, but I think it'll be very emotional. It won't be easy if that happens. Personally, I would say Rohit should continue to play for Mumbai Indians, because the contribution that he's got, and he's grown as a captain, as a player, the stature that he is in today, it's somewhere connected to Mumbai Indians. So I would say if he stays there, well and good. But if he moves on, that's how it is, because this is a franchisee tournament, and sometimes these things happen.
Right, so the fans, we are on Inside Sport. There's something else that fans really would want to know. Will Dhoni play the entire season of the next IPL? How do you see it? I mean, again, CSK and Dhoni, inseparable.
I think there was a buzz that he qualifies for as a uncapped player. I think
Yes,
this is what it
yes.
is. I told you, this is franchisee cricket. This is very different from what you and I have grown up seeing cricket.
True.
So this is very different. So these things have different challenges. These things have different demands. So I think if he qualifies, maybe all the fans would want him to come back in yellow. And MS, as long as he can play, I think he'll continue to play. And the biggest cushion for him would be the impact player rule. He's already got a captain in Ruturaj, so
Yeah.
maybe who knows? We will see MS Dhoni only come and bat, or maybe at times only wicket keeper to help the team. Never know. These are the things which will eventually evolve, because these are the new laws of a tournament which you have to use to your advantage. We don't know how each team will use. We
So you
saw
like
R Ashwin getting out, retired out for his team's benefit. So these are the laws which you can really use it well and take advantage of it.
the impact player rule then, don't you? Because you are also a very strategic
Absolutely.
thinker. Yeah.
Absolutely. It really pushes you to plan well. Because if you see one player, when he gets in, things
Hmm.
totally change. So I
Hmm.
think it's a different challenge for everybody. You cannot
Yeah.
take things for granted. I know 200 or a 220 looks easy
Hmm.
in this league
Hmm.
when you talk about international cricket, but that's how it is. Not the beauty about any league or any country. It has to be its own. So they have developed something which will give some excitement to the fans, or maybe it will help you enhance as a strategist. So why not?
Then a lot of views from Pragyan Ojha. Before I let you go, though, Pragyan, again, voice of the fans. And who better than you to tell us about India's rising spin stars? We've seen Ashwin, Jadeja, Kuldeep, what they've done. Aksar is also well over 30. Who do you see could take that place? Rising star for Indian spin.
It would be very unfair to talk about a new name, but I would say, to get this process going, to let this chain continue, you want players to play domestic cricket, because that is very important. That is something which will always produce cricketers for you. The biggest example is, look at what has happened in West Indies. The domestic cricket was in a decline, no proper structure. See what has happened. So once your domestic cricket is up there, and I'm really glad the way Mr. Jayasha, Mr. Roger Binney, BCCI, Mr. Jayasha, they have really thought about it, and they have made sure that any international player who is available should go on and play domestic cricket. It is very important, not only for that player, but also for the other players who are playing along with him, because that is the culture we have grown up, and it has really helped us become what we are today.
We are a global superpower in cricket, but Mr. Jayasha also taking over as the new boss of the ICC only benefit world cricket, considering what impact he's had on Indian cricket. The Women's Premier League, Jayasha's revival of Test cricket, he's been phenomenal, and that respect he's got from cricketers because he's that admired as an administrator. Fantastic administrator.
Absolutely, I think he's very passionate. I was fortunate enough to work with him in his initial years, so I could sense that he's more interested, he's more driven, because he wants to take Indian cricket to the next level. He always dreamt of getting one more World Cup when he was a secretary, because these are the things which really push you, and he's done so. Because if you see, after 2011, this is the trophy that we won. When we talk about World Cup, in between we won the Champions Trophy, but when you talk about the World Cup, this is the T20 World Cup that we won, and 50 over almost we were there. So I think these are the things which really motivate you. And as an administrator, for him, Indian cricket growing, I'm talking about both men and women, that will give him a lot of happiness. And he's a man with vision to make sure that Indian cricket reaches its pinnacle. And it's a great thing that successfully, after Dalmia sir, after Srinivasan sir, after Shashank Manohar sir, and Sharad Pawar sir, it's a great thing, I would say.
A great thing for world cricket for sure because of his impact, like we've said, Jasha's impact on Indian cricket, and we will also wait to see his impact on world cricket, which Pragyan and I both agree will be massive. No doubt he will be one of the most impactful ICC chairs of all time. But a pleasure as always talking to Pragyan Ojha about cricket. Like you said, gentlemanly conversation, touching on the right points, touching the right nerves. This was an absolute entertainer. Thank you, Pragyan, so much for your time. And hopefully we'll see you
Thank
soon
you.
on Inside Sport.